This is an intervention. I am letting some skeletons out of my closet, so to speak. My name is Chris. Well, it's actually Cameron. My friend Chris actually started this intervention for me, so we might as well be open and honest about everything. Addiction is real. It's very real. And I do have a very addictive personality. But if we're going to talk about addictions, I guess fragrance is probably as safe as addiction as any, but it can be a never-ending rabbit hole. I speak from experience. I am an addict. Need my little comfort mousse. My friend Chris brought up the fact of his mom talking his bollocks. It was really moving. I thought about my mumsy doing the same thing. But the smells of candles burning in the house, the mothballs in my grandmother's house. That's why I stayed outside. I couldn't go inside of my grandmother's house because it smelled like mothballs. But the sense of smell is a very powerful thing. It can evoke memories, good ones, bad ones, ex-girlfriends, experiences, places, and my first fragrance that I bought, I was 16 years old. I had no idea what I was buying. It was a cool looking bottle. 16 years old. I bought Gore Fahrenheit. Can you imagine walking through the halls of your high school smelling like Gore Fahrenheit? It's traumatizing. Roll the music, please.
I finally found what I'm missing, and now you got all my attention. Driving me wild, got me wishing that you were all mine. You're irresistible, so refreshing. You're irresistible, tell the essence. I can feel your energy all over me. Close my eyes and I breathe in. You're irresistible.
Welcome back to Carolina Fragrance Reviews. This is a little bit different type of video, a little more laid back and kind of open rapport, if you will. Chris, thank you for tagging me. I enjoyed your video and talking your balls. That was pretty sweet. But yeah, I actually can't really think of any fragrances that were bought for me or maybe recommended. So what I'm going to do is just go over some fragrances that started my fragrance journey. Gore Fahrenheit was the first fragrance that I bought when I was 16 years old, and I went to Service Merchandise. That used to be like my store, and that was the place that I got to go away. I can remember Blair and Allison chains and my 67 Mustang heading up there that day. I don't know why, it's just a very vivid memory because that, the sense of smell does invoke those type memories. But they had it where the jewelry was at, and they had the fragrances and the jewelry kind of like in a kind of, well, 3/4 of a square. But I wound up giving that fragrance to my dad. I did wear it for a while. I still like it. It still brings back those memories, but it was just a little little too much for a 16-year-old to be wearing. It was kind of an intense fragrance for a 16-year-old in high school. But I did go to a trip with school to Europe, and while I was in Vienna, Austria, we had some time down, and were able to go to these open air markets. And I can remember they had a record store. I found like a rare vinyl Metallica album that actually had unfinished songs from the Black Album that just were humming over strumming. I mean, if you've never been to Vienna, it's an awesome place. But off of Vienna onto the fragrance, they had a really cool boutique. They had all sorts of prices. I was still in high school, so I didn't have like a buttload of cash to spend. So I copped this. I've always called it Davidoff. I've heard some people call it Davidoff. I don't know what the correct pronunciation is, but Cool Water, a lot of people have had this in their stash. Some people say that it even resembles like Green Irish Tweed. It does have a little bit of that Green Irish Tweed vibe going on. But this one was my signature fragrance for quite some time. And then the next one was Acqua di Gio. That was the one that, I mean, this was my signature fragrance, but next level was Acqua di Gio. I was in Dallas, Texas. I was meeting my girlfriend's family, or actually my girlfriend's in-laws, still family, but they were in-laws. And Paul was wearing Acqua di Gio. That was right when it came out. And actually, as we were coming through the tarmac into the airport, I was catching wafts of it. And he must have did some mad spraying for me to get it that far. But I was like, wow. And I had to have it. So I bought it, and that one was my go-to for quite some time. But I would pick up different fragrances through time. I remember Clinique Happy being one that I would keep on rotation. It was kind of like Acqua di Gio was my primary fragrance, but I would pick up different ones. Clinique Happy was one. Curve was one also when I was in high school. Really, like everybody in high school, they were either wearing Curve or Adidas. So I was kind of different because I had that. So that was why there was a lot of good memories attached to that. Just rocking out my car, loud system and everything. So really, really cool memories with Cool Water. Really cool memories with Acqua di Gio. A couple other fragrances, I don't want to keep you guys too long, that were, I don't know, ones I kept in rotation. Also, Le Male was one for me too, with Jean Paul Gaultier. That one was actually one that a friend bought for me though. He came to my house. I was like, dude, that smells amazing. And he comes bearing gifts, and it's like, just gave it to me. Brand new bottle, still sealed up. I thought that was really awesome. Multiple other fragrances through time. It was just a lot of, I've always had a passion for fragrances. And then yes, it can be quite addictive. How many fragrances is too much? I can remember my guy friends like making fun of me. I played in rock bands, heavy metal bands, and it was usually like the dudes in my band that would give me crap. Especially like if they were at my house before you were getting ready for a gig. I would be there in the bathroom like sorting through my colognes, figuring out what I was gonna wear. I actually started dating one of my lead singer. It was my lead singer at the time's sister. So I'd be like, yo, what do you want me to smell like? So it became a fun way to do it that way. So I didn't quite look like I don't know. I kind of felt a little dorky because, here we are like in a heavy metal band and I'm in there like primping. So it wasn't like I was in an 80s glam band, but that's kind of how I was. I guess I was the pretty boy of the band, if you will. But yeah, it is an addiction, and my collection has grown, and I've had to rotate stuff in and out. And when you get into the niche stuff, that's actually when you're no starts getting you in trouble, because there's so many brands that have so many good fragrances. It's like you want to own all of them, or at least all the good ones. Tom Ford, Killian, Juicebox, Parfum de Marly. I mean, there's just so many different ones. Mancera, Montal. I mean, I could just keep going on and on and on. MFK, you know the drill. But yeah. And basically what I've had to do is like choose my battles. I can't own every single fragrance, even though I have attempted doing that with particular houses that I'm like extremely crazy about. So my Tom Ford collection is the biggest collection. I have over 17 or 18 Tom Ford fragrances. I have a lot of Killians, a lot of Juicebox. Oh boy, yeah, a lot of Parfum de Marly. So yeah, that's my story, guys. And Chris, thanks again. Thanks for tagging me. I need to tag a couple people. Chris tagged a guy, me, and a gal. So I think I'll do the same. My guy, Dan from Scented Waters. I want to hear about your addiction, brother. And it has to be a fragrance that got you started, that you picked out on your own. No gifts, nobody turning you on to them. No Instagram, no Facebook, no nothing. And Andrea from Curly Scents. Conversation time. You know the drill, sweetie. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time on Carolina Fragrance Reviews.